Okay. So hello everyone. Glad to have you. I think my camera is like going to like my face. This is actually my left, but on the camera is my right, so I can't tell what's the problem here with my webcam. All right, so I've been working on ACBU, and yesterday I just submitted an application. I'm just show you guys. I actually got a mail, so um, so I made a pull request. Let me go there now. Um, Let me open GitHub. So I'm using Vmix to stream. So it might be a bit complicated, but don't panic. Everything is alright. Okay. So let me just fix up. Oh, I think that's not working alright. But let me fix that up real quick. Alright. So I've been working on ACBU for quite a time now. Okay, it's working now. So let me check it out. So I made an application. West Africa, we have community of developers in Stellar. Yeah, okay. So I made an application to submit. I made a pull request yesterday, by the way. I don't know if it has been accepted, but let me check. I can't tell because here has not been updated. Okay, but let me show you ACBU. So I submitted the application here yesterday. The builder name is Junman Sam. As you can see, that's my name. Currently working on ACBU. Yeah, uh, so let me just explain ACBU. ACBU is a stablecoin, but it's not a conventional idea of stablecoins actually. ACBU is like combination of different currencies. Yeah, so I think my video is lower than my audio. Yeah, I think it's coming way behind. So let me fix that in Vmix. Oh man, I learned how to do this, so I can always use this idea any single time. Okay, okay. Is it okay? Hi. All right, I think it's better. Yeah. All right, so I just dropped my audio by 200 milliseconds so that it would match with the video. So I've been working on ACBU. Let's go back to what we're talking about. And ACBU is a stablecoin, but it's not just your average stablecoin. And let me just explain this to you why we have ACBU in the first place. Now, this might not be the name, but this is the name we have for now. So it's the ACBU means African Currency Basket Unit. And what we do is very simple. Stablecoins have had an idea of just being cryptocurrencies that are pegged to like a particular currency, and yeah, just that. But we thought of different ways to, innovate, different ways to come up with more solutions for stablecoin, especially in the situation of the African economy. And this year, January 2026, I had the idea of starting ACBU. Normally, I've worked on stablecoins on other blockchains, like Pi blockchains, although we are still in development for that. But yeah, it just followed the conventional idea of stablecoins. But when I got to ACBU, I've always wanted to solve an African problem. And this is like my first avenue of solving an African problem. So now, the best way to solve Africa's problem is to focus on its united or uniform ability or capability, like its strength of reasoning, like its economy and all of that, instead of focusing on independent country economy. We, at the end of the day, end up focusing on the various economies of different nations in Africa. So that is just what ACBU is trying to do. So how can we capitalize on the total economy of Africa and use that as an effective tool to bring about new innovation in Africa and also financial stability in Africa? So yeah, that is like one of the main ideas here. Okay, so I had ACBU, the prototype. I've been working on it for quite a time now, but what the prototype does is, how can we take different currencies and use different factors such as their GDP, their per capita income, and like all of these factors, and combine all of them together and give them different weights in a basket of currencies. So the weights I'm talking about here is what's the word for it? Different percentages here. That's a better word. Different percentages in the basket. So that's exactly what we did with ACBU. So for each currency, the value of it in the basket is determined by different factors. Like I mentioned, inflation rate is there, per capita income is there, GDP per annum is also there, and like I think I wrote down new other ones, but I've forgotten them. I have to check. I don't have, like, maybe it's like not the updated document here. Yeah, I'm not sure I have the updated document here. But yeah, so that is that for ACBU. And like how this works is, when we do this maths on a quarterly basis, we can determine what percentage a currency is going to take in the pool. So let's do a simple math when we are starting. I think human resource, I just remembered, human resource is also part of the factors that determine the percentage of what a currency holds in the pool. So example, though the economy of South Africa, their GDP last year was way higher than that of Nigeria. I wish I have the stats here. I do have the stats here, so you just give me a second. I don't know why I stored the stats. Yeah, so you just give me a second to look for the stats. Okay. So, but like these statistics, you can actually research them. Last year, I think South Africa, Egypt, Morocco, and yeah, like new countries got on the list as well. I think Mozambique, I think I have that right. Yeah, was also part of the countries that did quite well last year for their GDP. So yeah, when we combine these factors, those are good numbers for us to use. And also, other factors that we might consider is, like I said, the human resource capital of a nation. So, though South Africa had the highest GDP, but it has about 65 million people in the entire country, which is, when compared to the total human capital of Africa, it's not quite much. Yeah, because Africa, we have over 1.2 billion people in Africa. So what we do is, when we combine the human factor and then the economic factor together, we come up with a good percentage for a nation. So example, for our first quarter, when we do the math, actually the math is done by a smart contract, not actually humanly done. So these are just an example that I came up with when the idea came up first. So example here is Nigeria has 18% of the allocation due to what the outcome of the math came out for human resource and then economic resource of the nation, for their GDP and for all of that. And why we have the human as important as well as the economic is that it's human that drives an economy. Like the Nigerian economy is far more booming for us as a project and also for the entire of Africa, because we have so many people. We have the workforce there. We have a lot of. I mean, like Nigeria is about 200 million. So that's like 3 times the total number of, or almost 3 times the total number of people in South Africa. So for every South African, there are 3 Nigerians. I believe that's a good mathematics. Yeah. So that's why we also involve that. So the economy of Africa is much more felt in countries that have higher number of users or citizens. Sorry. So we give, but that's not just the only factor. I mean, if you check Nigeria, Nigeria is also among the top countries for GDP. So when you combine those two factors, and interest rate and liquidation rate and all of that, then you have good numbers. So this is what we had from the first math we did. 18% Nigeria. Actually, we are just doing a prototype with just 10 countries for now. 18% Nigeria, 15% South Africa, 12% Kenya, Egypt 11%, Ghana 9%. Actually, Ghana has quite updated. So I think on a quarterly basis, Ghana should be like one of the biggest, if not like the top 3 before Kenya. And Rwanda is there, but Rwanda, I think other factors brought Rwanda in here aside human and economic factors. Yeah, but basically just around that. Yeah, we have Morocco, Tanzania, Cote d'Ivoire, and Uganda, and all those countries. So when we do that, we can say, okay, so we are going to take, for 18%, we are going to take 1,000 naira for South Africa. We are going to take maybe 800 of their currency, and for Kenya, we just take, for the Kenyan shillings, we take like 500. Like that's the math there, right? So they are not going to have the same percentages. And why this is effective is that that it helps this, like the entire African economy, to have a much more balanced outlook. So if the economy of Nigeria decides to collapse today by 40%, which of course is possible, that won't affect us as a stable currency. That can create an effect, but we won't feel the 40% effect because it will get diluted by other currencies. Because if you combine, let me just do the math right here. Let me get my calculator on my phone out to do the math. So 15%, 15 plus 12 plus 10, 11 plus 9 was 8 and 8 and 7. 7 plus 6 and 6. So that's already 82%. So Nigeria just having 18% when it's down 40% cannot affect the entire economy that is 82% of the total pool. So yeah, and it's also good in the sense that when a nation like South Africa stays up there, it's actually is a good outlook for the entire stable currency. Now, these are just like basic numbers that I can give you right now. And other factors that, we might want to consider as useful factors are, what's it called? Let's say, what should I use now? Oh, where's the sound coming from? I was hearing a sound. Okay, let me, other factors that you might want to consider. Let me think of more factors. Okay, let's say cross-border payments. That's a good factor to put into consideration. So, one, it cuts out Forex usage. I don't need to depend on Forex. I just need one currency to deal with any nation in Africa. Now, that's good because one, it's mobile money. Two, it's not physical money. So physical trades are eliminated by like 70%. Except your mobile device is stolen, in which they'll still need access to your account to log in. So maybe just give it 80% of the trades, physical trades is eliminated. Then it's stable, in which that's because I go to South Africa, I'm not going to worry about devaluation because I go to. Okay, I'm hearing a noise. I don't know where the noise is coming from. Don't know if anybody's hearing it, but I'm hearing like some random noises. Okay, so I'm not going to be like worried about all of those factors. Let's just say foreign exchange is not going to be a problem, right? Yeah, so that's one. Let me just check for the value proposition. Okay, so let's deal with value proposition, what we have to offer right now. So as a stablecoin, there are a lot of requirements from us. Like already, let me just break the myth. A stablecoin value is not gotten from its external, external conditions, but actually from the internal conditions. Like as an example, why the US dollar is always stable, it's not because the US economy is not going through different ups and downs. No, it's just because a dollar is always a dollar anywhere you go. So we also need to apply that same principle here, whereby we say we are not going to be pegged to the US dollar. Instead, we are going to be pegged to African currencies, right? And these African currencies are going to be the bedrock of everything. So if we decide today that ACBU is going to be what, 1,000 naira plus 1,000 shillings plus this and that for the currencies in the reserve, then that's going to be like the benchmark for everything. So if it's not what 1,000 is 1,000 is 1,000, then it's no more stable. And what makes it stable is that it's what the value proposition says it's what. I hope that makes sense. So that way we don't need to peg it to the US dollar. We just need it to be pegged to the currencies that matters, because the US dollar is not contributing to that economy. That economy is influenced by the currencies that are in the basket, and the US dollar is not one of the currencies in the basket. So yeah. So one of our primary targets is Pan-African, Africanism, but for e-commerce. So for early adaptation, that's what we like focus on for now. So let me just say something. So we are currently working on establishing these on two blockchains that are similar to each other. and cost effective, require less, it's like less complex, and user interface, you literally won't know that you're dealing with a blockchain. Yeah, so that's what we use to make it easy for everybody to go along with it, right? And okay, let's go back to value proposition now. Okay, so I talked about e-commerce, so just easy. I think one of the major problem we have had in Africa is intra-trade between different states in the African in Africa as a whole. So what these aims are doing is, like I said earlier, eliminate forex, make a universally acceptable payment method for both customers and merchants, and doesn't make them exposed to like any forex losses of any single currency. So it boosts profitability because it reduces currency conversion costs. We also eliminate need to maintain multiple currencies accounts. So you just need one account for all African states. You don't need to maintain multiple currencies. Yeah. So for cross-border trades, like I said, intra-African trade, and it's a big thing because we have almost $2 billion annually from intra-African trade. Now that's not huge enough compared to like intra-Europe trade and all of that, like North American trades and maybe Asian, like East Asians and all of that. But yeah, that's huge numbers, and if we can capitalize that, like most of these trades are done with are done assisted by foreign currencies, not even Naira or Ghana cedis or like all of that. Most of those trades are done with US dollar or USDT or USDC at the back end of everything. So we want to eliminate that because the profitability of these forex exchanges are always going to the foreign economy and thereby devaluing the local currency more and more often. So we plan on eliminating that. And with the aid of blockchain technology, we reduce the cost of transaction by over 20%. So like using a blockchain like Stellar or Pi blockchain, yeah, the cost is like going to be very, very minimal. Did I say 20%? Yeah, it's going to be very, very minimal. Just know that like it's not going to be anywhere near what we currently experience. Yeah. Okay, so sorry, something just came in. Okay, so let me go ahead to the next point. We have SME for regional trades. So, you know, for small businesses are mainly affected by foreign forex trades, like both devaluation and evaluation, because and this spiral down to like the least person as like a house owner or like someone that is into buying and selling locally. So what we do is to help people avoid maintaining multiple currency accounts. You use a single currency irrespective of your location, and it's just like a good hedge for businesses to operate across multiple African currency countries. You know, like now, Rwanda has a deal with Ghana. Ghana also has a deal with Zimbabwe. Zambia, sorry, yeah, Zambia. So with all of that, you see, it's easy if they have a locally valued currency for everything. And in as much as different African nations want to operate as independent blocks, but the power of the African economy is like everybody operating as one. That's why we keep fighting to let people open businesses between different currencies, countries, without having to, you know, get a business registered in this country again after you might have registered in Ghana, like all of that. So this stable currency is also a way of helping foster that growth in like a very much rapid way. Yeah. And also one of the biggest economy in Africa is like diaspora, remittance. And like last year we had over $1 billion in diaspora money coming into the nation. So we can calculate the cost and then just discover that, oh, there's so much money being spent in like paying for payments to like foreign banks. Like I don't want to mention banks name, but like them. Especially if you're in the US or in Europe, you have to pay like huge fees. I think up to like 3%. I don't know if people pay up to 10%, but yeah, 10% of whatever you're going to send. So that is caused by lack of blockchain interaction as well as good use cases for people. So yeah. And one of the key problems we are trying to solve here is just for us to eliminate the US dollar from the African economy and just make it dependent on its local currency instead of being dependent on US dollar or US backed stable coins, because like I don't know how to put this now, but like like every time we pay them to US dollar, it definitely weakens these local currencies, because the US dollar is not like contributing to this economy, but actually contributing to the US economy. So if we have a way to eliminate that, whereby the profitability and the losses are managed by these local currencies, then it's a good way, because most people would actually trade off their local currency to hold the US dollar, because they know that their local currency is unstable and thereby gaining leverage. Like, it's much more easy for an African to trade with the US dollar than for an African to trade with or than for a Nigerian actually to trade with Ghana cedi. I've never seen Ghana cedi before. I don't even know what it looks like, but like, what the US dollar looks like, and that is a huge market penetration strategy that the US has done. But like, that time has come for African economy to actually stand up and face reality of times, to know that we have to build Africa ourselves. We don't have to depend on a particular currency to make us outstanding. So a competitive advantage over US stablecoins are okay. Let me just talk about the core problems we solve now. So one is we reduce single currency risks for African businesses. So when you use ACBU, you are not faced with a problem of having to suffer business losses due to maybe Naira devaluing by 40% or all of that. But like, your risk level is reduced and no single currency risk is applicable to you anymore. And we create a continental currency for trade settlement. We lower conversion cost by eliminating forex at a huge percentage. We provide stability by removing our dependency on dollar, and also for a competitive advantage over US stablecoin is that we have currency sovereignty. I mean, like, our value is tied to our economy, not US monetary policies. So we don't really care what goes on in the United States. What we care about is what goes on in Africa, right? Natural hedge for African businesses. So it's also a good boost for local businesses to earn and spend in their local currencies more often, and also potentially easier for regulatory acceptance. So supporting African currencies is far more preferable to regulators than facilitating the US dollar. So a cost advantage is that traditional remittances that take like 5 to 8% of your fee, but I think our fee maximum is going to depend on which blockchain we are on. So the highest so far we have is between 0.6 to 0.3 of whatever you are paying, which is quite very, very low. So let me do the math. If you are paying for $1,000, not a dollar, 1,000 ACBU to someone, we are going to be paying in fees 3 ACBU, which quite sincerely, it's not too much because recently I just saw, actually it's too much. Yeah, actually it's too much. But I think that's the maximum it can go due to like different market factors, like maybe the demand is too high for ACPU. So it can really, really go that high. Yeah, it's quite too much. Yeah, and it depends on like if it's an individual or if it's a business. So for a business, it's quite a difference from what it is for an individual, right? And I just forgot what I wanted to add to that. Okay, so yeah, recently I saw someone was charged like up to like $10,000 for $5 million on an exchange. Yeah, which is crazy. So yeah, that can never happen here, except maybe a service is using us and then it's charging a service fee, which it can never get as high as that, because that would detract people from using our services. Yeah, but like we help people save faster and cheaper compared to like traditional methods like banks and all of that, because they're not exploiting you. You are seeing everything on the blockchain. We don't like have secondary transactions and yet and all of that. So you pay your taxes, we pay our taxes, and everybody's cool with that, right? So now different countries have different tax laws. I think that is also important to note. For our stability characteristics, I would say we are diversified, so it reduces our volatility level. We are protected against an isolated country crisis, and then we participate in the African overall economic growth. So this is like one of the best things that can ever happen in Africa. And so for every other thing, I think I would have to like publish this at some point. Yeah, I have to publish all of this because I don't want to like bore you with all this information, but I have to go ahead and publish it so that you take your time and read it. But basically, you get the idea. This is a simple method of solving Africa's problem by taking advantage of smart contracts and the idea of stablecoins. This is the simplest way to solve Africa's problem. Okay, I think I've spoken for too long. Thank you so much for listening to me. My name is Juman Sam, and I just build on blockchains like Pi and Stellar. So yeah, that's that. Thank you so much for listening to me speak for, I don't know how long I spoke for, but yeah, I think it's up to 20 minutes. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.